welcome back to the check-in. It's our first one of 2020. We've had quite a break. Various things happening in the life of the church. But yeah, this is episode 16, and we're glad you've joined us again.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me again. I thought you'd kind of forgotten me. You know? And this is lovely. We've had a break, and a lot of stuff has happened during that break, which we probably won't be able to cover all today. But it's been good. It's been good. We had a very good Christmas season.
Yeah, it was lovely.
I think it was incredible. And we've had this 40 days of love, which has just been also very challenging and amazing. And we've had some incredible testimonies of people that have been challenged.
Very practical as well.
Very practical. I think that was the key to the whole thing. And my hope and prayer is that we will ignore the first part of that title, the 40 days. And let's make it a lifetime of
4,000.
love. Yes, 4,000. There you go. That's what I like, 4,000. That's much, much better. Yeah. So I'm just really trusting the Lord that the work will be done, that has been done, will be of a permanent nature. Because one of the realities of it is, in all the counseling that I've done over the years for marriages, most marriages can be sorted out if people just learn to be loving towards one another, kind, patient, not keeping a record of wrongs. You know, no big thing, just those small little things. Yeah. If we could just do them. Love is not rude. I've heard a lot of rude things being said to one another in counseling situations, and of course I've been guilty of all of these things myself. But if you want a happy marriage, that's it. And I've seen some people whose marriages have really been touched. And I'm just trusting that this will become a permanent thing in their lives and continue. Yeah.
Of course, that's a mature love. We also have the immature love, which is kind of the one that sometimes gets us into trouble.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, that was a good thing of maturing in faith and learning how to love like God loves us.
Well, the interesting thing about 1 Corinthians chapter 11, to me, 1 Corinthians 13, to me is that when we deal with it, we normally stop at the first part of verse 8. Love never fails, full stop. And that's normally where it stops. But that passage continues, and we know that Paul is still thinking about love, because the last verse in the chapter says, now these three things remain, faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. But in between that last verse and his description of what love needs to be, he tells us that we need to leave behind childish things and become adult. Love is meant to help us mature. And in fact, the only kind of love that God will have us share with others is a mature love. Love that comes out of personal maturity, a mature relationship with others. And so I'm glad you mentioned that, Phil, because that maturity is key to the whole thing. You know, you look at little kids, you don't want to behave like that all your life. You know, don't get your own way. Down on the floor, kick your heels shut and scream. And now I've seen a lot of adults who behave exactly like that.
I think you've touched on the big difference between the two types of an immature love and a mature love. Immature love is about what I can get, whereas mature love is about what I can give.
Oh, yes, beautiful.
You know, it's not about self; it's about others.
That's right.
And regardless of what the circumstance is, it's choosing to love regardless of how you feel.
That's it. Lovely, I like that.
Yeah.
We'll make a preacher out of you one of these days.
One day.
No, that's good. Thanks, Phil. That was lovely. Yeah.
And then obviously we're starting this new series of Whatever It Takes. And that's sort of an extension of this 40 Days of Love as well.
Yes.
Leading up to Easter.
Yes.
Which obviously is the greatest sacrificial act of love that there can be. You know, Jesus laying down his life for us.
Yes. And Trevor kicked it off on Sunday with the story of the Mary who brought that alabaster box of ointment, that expensive thing, and broke it. And we are told that the value of it was 300 denarii, which is equivalent to a year's wages, because a denarii was equivalent to 1 day's wage. So, and there was an interesting reaction to that. The reaction was that the disciples said, "What is this woman doing? She should have thought about this. We could have sold this. Yeah. Think of all the people we could have fed and helped with 300 denarii. We could have done a lot."
Got a new sports camel.
Yeah, a new sports camel. But Jesus just brought it into perspective, and he said, what she has done is a beautiful thing. I just love the way Trevor brought that out. It's not a good thing. It's not the best thing. It's a beautiful thing. And he left with that kind of challenge to us. He spoke about the act. He made his 4 points like a good Baptist preacher does. And they were good. They were really good. It's a good thing. And I would really like to encourage anybody who hasn't seen it to watch that. It lays an excellent foundation for the series where we're heading towards Easter, the loving stuff that we can do for the Lord. The most loving act that this world has ever seen is Jesus dying on the cross of Calvary. There is no greater love than that. Because he didn't just die, he didn't just give up his life, the suffering that went with it, what he was willing to endure for our sake. I mean, that's just mind-boggling. And now we need to learn to do loving things to him, and that's what this lady did. And Jesus said she will be remembered for this, because it's preparation for his burial, for his death. And I was greatly challenged when right at the end he made that point. We've got to find beautiful ways of doing loving deeds for the Lord in his name, to him but also to others, to those around us. And I think, the one of the points that he made was that the aroma just filled the whole room with this beautiful smell. Everybody could smell it. And it wasn't just a beautiful act, it was a beautiful smell. And we need to do the same thing. Our lives need to bring that wonderful aroma into the world. And that's a great challenge.
It's a lovely picture, that, because just practically, that aroma would have been in that room for a while.
Would have been, eh?
Even when everyone had gone, someone could have come back later and still smelt that presence.
Yes.
And known that something happened there.
Yes. Yes.
So it's sort of a lasting, almost a legacy that was left.
I had a guy come and see me last year sometime, and I will remember this visit, because he had obviously been, working in the garden for a few days. I know he was clearing some of the bush around his house. But I think that maybe they had water problems, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that he hadn't had any serious shower or bath. And in that little office of mine, I very quickly got a hold of the sort of stale sweat aroma, and I really was quite pleased when he walked out of my office, and I ran down to the staff toilet there, and they've got this little aerosol thing, and I quickly went and got rid of that aroma. And when Trevor was speaking, this thing just came to mind. When we meet with people, we're leaving some kind of an aroma. What is it? Is it beautiful, or is it maybe not so beautiful? And that was a wonderful challenge to me.
Yeah. Speaking of Trevor and sort of just meeting with people, we'll be chatting to Trevor a little bit later just to find out a bit more about how we as a church will be responding to the coronavirus pandemic. How it's going to affect our services, our midweek groups, and how we can be the salt and light of the earth through this time. It's a dark time, but we're called to be light.
Right.
So there's opportunity for hope and for the gospel in the midst of all of this. So I'm looking forward to chatting with Trevor a little bit later.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting. They had their council meeting last night to decide what sort of action are we going to take? But to me, the fundamental thing, the fundamental principle that we need to keep in mind, I think there are probably two important principles. The first one is that it doesn't matter what happens. It's always an opportunity for ministry. Always. We're sitting in a society that's been overcome with fear of the unknown and of the things that could happen, things that this virus could do. The economic impact of this thing is just absolutely mind-boggling. But for the church, it's an opportunity to shine. As you said, we are light. This is darkness. I mean, this is really gross darkness.
Yeah.
But we light. It's an opportunity for us to shine. And the second principle, I think, is that it's an opportunity for us to display our faith and our trust in God. We are not afraid because we have a God who's on the throne. We serve a God who knows all these things, and He's known them right from the beginning of time. This coronavirus might have caught the rest of the world by surprise. Didn't catch God by surprise.
It's new to us, not to Him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like that. It's not new to Him at all. And so we need to stand on the promise of God, not be anxious about anything, but in prayer with thanksgiving to make our requests known to God. And then this is the thing, and the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will garrison your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. We will not give way to fear. The interesting thing to me when you study the devil and his manifestations, the manifestations of evil spirits, and I've actually seen this in real life as well. The devil only manifests himself to make people afraid. That's all he does. Because fear is the principle on which his kingdom works. Now, I think that there are two types of fear. And I almost think, I heard Trevor mention this recently, I can't remember exactly when, but there are two types of fear. The one kind of fear is real fear that we need to have. You know, when a guy pulls out a gun and points it right at you between your eyes and he starts squeezing the trigger, you need to be afraid.
It's a healthy fear. It's
a very healthy fear, that because it releases adrenaline and helps you to get out of the way of that bullet. But to live with that continual anxiety, that's health threatening, and it's just not good. And so we need that peace of God that passes all understanding, that is able to guard our hearts and our minds in Christ Jesus. And this is one of the opportunities, I think, where we as Christians, that we've got to be able to shine at this time, to be an example to others.
Yeah, I think a lot of those, the bad fears are rooted in ignorance or lack of knowledge. It's the same with phobias. You know, if you're scared of spiders or snakes, that sort of irrational fear. If you can identify what that spider or snake is, you'll know that it's not harmful. And if it is one that is harmful, you'll know, just steer clear of it.
Right.
And the same with this virus. You know, it's the fear of the unknown, not being forearmed with the knowledge of how to deal with it. Not knowing that there's a 98% chance that I'm going to be fine.
Yes.
You know, this is hardly going to affect me.
Yes.
Listening to all of the rubbish that's on social media, you know, the conspiracy theories, and that only serves to advance that fear.
Right.
It's not combating the lack of ignorance. It's actually adding to it.
Well, I was listening to a virologist speaking, and she actually works at one of the infectious disease facilities in South Africa somewhere. And she started off her little statement. She said, "I'm not afraid of the coronavirus. The symptoms and everything else are very mild." She says, "I work with stuff like Ebola all the day. This stuff is terrible. It's most likely to kill you. Not very many people survive it. So she says, this little coronavirus is not something that scares me. It's all the other stuff that that scare me, that I work with, the tropical diseases and stuff like that, and even stuff like diphtheria and smallpox and some strains of malaria that are going around at the moment. These things are really scary.
Of course, in our context, though, the danger of the coronavirus is we have a high HIV/AIDS rate. So they'll be at high risk, and elderly people. So.
Yeah, she wasn't terribly convinced, I might say, and that's her opinion, that the HIV patients are much of a higher risk, because she says if they're taking their medication properly, the way it should be, they won't be more susceptible to this than most other people.
Okay, that's interesting.
And it was very interesting. And but she said the thing that worries her is the fear that grips the people. She's afraid of their fear. She was saying at this hospital, they had all their masks stolen. And that mask will do nothing to prevent somebody else getting the coronavirus, but it will help them at their hospital, at their facility. It'll protect them from stuff that will kill them.
Yeah.
And so she said, please, people, don't do stupid things like that, you know. And then she explained that the virus is moisture-borne, and if you have the virus, then wear a mask, because you're sneezing and you're coughing, the moisture will be absorbed in the mask, but the virus goes right through it. But if it's in that moisture, it's going to be contained. It can't pass. Yeah. So if you got it, have it. Yeah. But it's not going to protect you from getting it.
Yeah.
The thing that you need to do to protect yourself from getting it is keep your throat and moist and all the time. Drink lots of water. Drink it regularly.
Wash your hands.
And wash your hands all the time. That's the big thing.
Big one.
The most important thing. So if we do those few things, then it will be good for us.
And of course, in our context, the ultimate knowledge to dispel fear is the knowledge of our salvation.
That's right.
Whatever happens, we have a future that's beyond anything we can imagine. If we truly understand that, we actually don't have anything to fear.
Well, last Wednesday at our just before our Wednesday church service, a lady came in, and they've advised this social distancing. And it was still very new to everybody at the time, and I totally forgot about it, and I went and gave this lady a hug, and somebody that was walking with her said, you don't seem to be concerned about this coronavirus. So I said, well, I'm not going to allow the threat of a tiny minuscule little virus the size of that thing stop me from hugging ladies. And I was making a joke of it. And so they all laughed, and there was a man standing with me, one of the oldest members not oldest age-wise, but who's been part of this church for much longer than anybody else. He's told me on occasions he can remember when there were 12, 13 people on a Sunday service down in the chapel. And he was standing right next to me, because I'd been chatting to him before these people arrived. And he said to this lady, he says, as far as Errol's concerned, that virus, the worst it could be is a shortcut to heaven.
Shortcut home.
Shortcut to heaven. So, and that's true. We have a different attitude to death. It's not the terrible thing that it is to some people. And anyway, besides that, our lives are in God's hands. And there's no virus, there's no devil, there's no threat at all that can bypass that. And so my faith and confidence and trust is in the Lord, who's on the throne.
Absolutely. Of course, having said that, we don't want to pass it on if we do get it to someone that isn't saved.
No, we don't.
It's
not a loving thing to do.
Exactly.
It's not a beautiful aroma.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, we want to share good things with people, not the bad things.
Yeah.
Eh? Yeah.
So while we're not scared of this virus, we don't want to contribute to passing it on.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
We don't. We want to be careful.
Yeah.
We want to wash our hands. We want to observe the social distancing, and we really want to try and conform as much as we can, in the most loving way possible, to what the authorities and the governments and the health authorities are saying. We're not rebellious people. We're not afraid, but because we're loving people, we want to do
the Bible says respect the authorities.
Yes.
They put there by God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was quite impressed with President Ramaphosa's speech that he gave, that address he gave. I
Very
thought
common
it was
sense.
very balanced. It was very sincere, and it was very to the point.
Yeah.
You know, and he took a stand, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah,
I think we need to recognise that.
Yeah, it was very moderate compared to some others.
Very moderate. Yeah.
I was just looking yesterday, just some of the unintended consequences of the coronavirus throughout the world, and the drop in pollution has been astounding. I saw pictures of Venice from overlooking a canal, and the water was crystal clear blue. You could see fish swimming around.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's incredible. Yes, I read one blog. I got this notification came through, and I opened it up. It's somebody I don't really know, but they were saying that they're hoping that there will be about I can't remember the exact figure, but I remember I think it was 80 million people would die worldwide as a result of this, and bring our population back into proportion. And I thought to myself, that's a little bit harsh, but I'm sure that there will be a lot of good side effects that come out of it. Going to be a lot of bad ones. We've just really got to trust the Lord, particularly for the poor people. And we're surrounded by poor people here. And we've got to really ask the Lord for opportunities and wisdom in ministering to them. A lot of them are not going to earn. They like domestic workers. They get paid for the work they do. They turn up for a day, they get a day's wage. They don't turn up, they don't get paid. And so this thing's going to affect them, especially if it gets worse. And of course, they live in close proximity.
Without reticulated water.
Exactly.
For washing hands and traveling in taxis.
I know. It's going to be tough for them. And we've just really got to be alert as a church, as a ministry, to our community, to be aware of what's going on and to react as quickly as we can.
Be compassionate
with the compassion of Christ, really. We've just got to do that. We might have to learn a little bit about feeding the 5,000 with a few loaves and fishes ourselves, but we're going to have to do something. We're going to have to meet this challenge, and we need to do it with excitement and with great I was going to say anticipation, and it might be understood in the wrong way, but in just meeting the challenge, not being frightened by the challenge that it presents, but just climbing in and saying, Lord, in your name we want to help these people. We've got these safe places in position, and I think they're going to be key, because I honestly believe that a lot of people are going to run to them, especially when they don't know what to do. And we've got this opportunity to really try and minister to people in an effective way. Absolutely. I think that this can be an opportunity for real growth in God's kingdom. That's my feeling.
That's a great note to end off on.
Yes. Okay, Phil, it's been great being with you.
Yeah, thank you.
And I know that Trevor's going to be a real blessing. Because he's a man with vision, and he's a man who sees opportunity, not barriers.
Yes.
That's why I love the guy so much. Anyway,
great.
Thanks for having me again.
Pleasure. See you next week.
Right.
Hi, Norwegian Settlers Church family. I've been looking forward just to connect with you with regard to the challenges that we as a church and community face with regard to this pandemic that we're all up against, this coronavirus. So I'm sitting with Phil today, and we're going to be talking you through the church approach. The leadership of the church have met, and we've had many long hours of discussion. And we would like just to share with you some of the things that we have established and present to you probably a plan to move this whole thing forward. So thank you for this time that you've given me. I hope that it's going to be beneficial to you. And that at the end of the day, this is going to actually be something that our church is going to be blessed by. We're not afraid of change, but we do look forward to returning to normality at another time. But for now, this is what we have to share with you. Just a quick update to where we're at. You've heard so much on the news and the media about the coronavirus. You've watched on TV as people have spoken with knowledge and with scientific facts. And so we as a church are not unaware of the challenges that we will soon be facing. So we would far rather fall into the category of those who are planned and ready for this thing. So when it does hit in whatever shape or form it comes, we believe that we'll be as ready as we possibly can be. We'd like to just share with you some of these have been hard decisions that we've had to make, but just by way of the actual church meetings, our sermons, our spiritual food, we have a couple of suggestions for you, and we're asking you to think along this line. The first thing is that the government have limited us to 100 people per gathering. Now, guys, this may change over the course of time. It could go from 100 down to 50, maybe even down to 10. But right now, our boundary is 100 people. We want to honor government. We are told to pray for our government and to support them where we can in these things. And so everything we've done has been with that in mind. So anticipating the need for some people to meet together, to be a part of a meeting, our proposal is to have 3 services during the course of the week. We're proposing 2 Sunday morning services and 1 evening service during the week on a Wednesday evening. Now, we're encouraging people, if they want to be a part of something bigger than the rest of what we'll suggest, that this may be the way for you to go. We will be asking you, and Phil here will be taking you through how to respond to this so that we can plan effectively and let you know the final outcome. And then obviously, because we live in the media age, and Phil and his team have just totally blown us away with their ability to make something happen out of nothing. And so they have an online system where you can watch TV live online and watch the service at whatever hour you would want, it being presented at probably 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. But here's what's cool. If you want to watch it online, it would be really nice if you wanted to watch it with other people. So for want of better terminology, we're calling it Sunday Cell Church, where you get together with friends, maybe your existing cell group, in small groups at people's homes, and are able to watch the service together in those small groups. For those of you who feel that you just would like to watch it online on your own, at your convenience, it will be broadcast at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning, or thereafter you can download it whenever you feel you need to. But I so want to encourage you all to make sure that this becomes a part of your weekly routine, that as much as you were coming to church, this would be really good if you did church in one of these 3 ways. We will unfortunately be having to close the children's church down, and so the service that we present to you on a Sunday will be no longer than an hour. It will be very much a family service, and if you want to bring your kids, then that'll be fine, but it's going to be 1 hour of a shortened version of what we normally do on a Sunday morning, and I'm hoping that you will avail yourself of that. But Kids Church will be closed with immediate effect. We also have been talking with the 2 youth groups. We have Youth Works that meet down in Shelley Beach, and they will be continuing as normal. They will be putting into practice all of the hygiene issues of washing hands and everything. We see no reason as to why that group cannot continue, and they will be closely monitored on a Friday evening. Unfortunately, Youth Alive, which is for the community immediately around the church, Unfortunately, we will have to close this for the foreseeable future because of so many logistical reasons, and we just felt rather be safe to protect the people, to protect our young people, that this might be the best thing from that point of view. And so those are our three scenarios. We've got the church as it is. You'll have to enroll to tell us if you're going to come to a service so we can do the maths and add up and see if it's worthwhile having. You'll have the online together in small groups, and you're going to be having the online on your own. We encourage you to continue this. We're also encouraging you to remember that this is just a short-term thing. We don't want you to get too comfortable at home because you're sitting drinking coffee with your feet on your table. May not just be the best thing for church overall, but this is a great stopgap, and we're hoping that you will make the most of it. I'm going to ask Phil just to fill in for you how best we would like for you to respond to the three options that we've presented to you, and so that we can plan accordingly and then follow up as soon as we can with your responses. So please take this seriously. Phil, can you tell us?
Yeah, thanks, Trev. We'll be sending out communications this morning on all the platforms that we have, whether it's email, social media, even SMSs we'll be sending out. We'll have it on our webpage, on YouTube. And we'll be sending out a link to a survey where you can respond and say if you're interested in coming to a physical service, which time slot you would be interested in. This is to help us manage the number of people at each service. And then we'll be giving you the feedback from that survey through our website and through social media as well.
We're asking that you do this as quick as you can. In fact, I think, Phil, by lunchtime tomorrow, if we could get your first response as to which ones you want to attend or how you want to do Sunday church in whatever format, if you guys can really help us by having your response in by tomorrow, which is Thursday, by lunchtime, and then we promise we'll get back to you as soon as we can once we've received all of your ideas and your response to that. Is there anything else, Phil, on the social media side?
Yes, please just make sure that you follow us on all our social medias. That'll be on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. Check our website regularly. We'll have a section on the website for latest updates as well. That'll have all of our infographics, things to do, how we manage this coronavirus epidemic, practical steps that we can take.
Yeah.
Those will all be on our website as well.
Also on our website, Phil, there's going to be a Norwegian Settlers Church theological sort of stance on what we theologically believe Corona might be. And we're not going to lay our head on a block over that, but we believe that that's what we should be believing. But at the same time, we have an indication of how to pray into the coronavirus thing. So unitedly as a church, if we all have the same ideas, are going down the same road, I think you'll find that quite useful as well, how to pray into Corona, bearing in mind just a few theological concepts that we will be holding to. Phil, we need to talk about the broader impact of the virus in our community. Our church, Phil Kloppers, is famous and phenomenal at giving, and you guys have given unbelievably sacrificially for the blessing of the church and the good of our community. But we're asking again now for another ask. There are in our community an incredibly poor group of people, a vast number of poorer people who are going to battle at this particular time. Jobs are going to be lost, food is going to be scarce, clothing is going to be skimp, and blankets are going to be short. And we're just appealing to you. We're going to be going into winter in a few weeks' time, and we really need to stockpile some blankets, some bedding, clothing, food, any tinned food, any long life stuff that you could help us with. I think if we just ask you guys if you could just drop off at the church, that would be absolutely phenomenal. And we'll make sure that goes to people in the church who have a particular physical need. I know you guys always respond unbelievably to this, but here's an opportunity for us, maybe just to go a little bit over and above, and I know that you will hear our request in this regard. Phil, let's just talk offering for a moment. Offerings, obviously, we have to ask you to continue with that. The financial obligations and the budget of the church still need to be met, In fact, I think our needs may even have grown in the financial realm. So we're asking, and we would love to just trust you to continue to give your tithes and your offerings, and we guarantee that that money will be well used to keep the church doors open and people still being saved, and so that God can be glorified in the community and our people can be blessed. So we're appealing to you. Kloppers, why don't you just tell us how best to do this offering thing?
Sure. With us switching primarily to online services, we've set up online giving, and we'd appreciate if you would change from in-person giving to switching to our online giving platform. There'll be a link on our website, nec.za.org, and it'll just say give at the top. Click on that. We've partnered with PayFast, which is a secure payment platform. They'll be processing all of our payments.
That's good.
So you can rest easy that your credit card and debit card information is perfectly secure, perfectly safe, and can't be abused. It's a very simple process. You just select how much you want to give, what the purpose of the giving is, and if you want to put a reference number, you can do that. And you hit pay or donate, and that's it. It's done.
Okay. If you have any queries in that regard, please don't hesitate to pick up the phone, speak to either Jeff or to Phil, and they will give you the update on that. Guys, I think we're done, Phil? But just to say, folks, let's bring hope to the world around us. Let's make sure we don't live in fear. We do not need to fear. Our God is much bigger than the coronavirus. And this is the most amazing and incredible opportunity for our church to make an even bigger impact in this community. And it's for this reason that we are the church. The crazy thing is that the church universal has a great track record at times like this to respond appropriately. We don't run into our little corners and hide. That's not what we do. We go out there with boldness and confidence in God and continue to take the gospel to people. And so for the glory of God and the good of all people, we are looking forward, in a sense, it's going to be exciting, to the next few months. Keep praying for us as we keep praying for you, and we trust God for the best. And we love you guys, and I suggest we go out. Let's go and save the world, people. Thank you so much for listening.